Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. It's Mardi Gras, so happy Mardi Gras to everybody. I'm E.D. Lewis, and let me go ahead and take this mask off. I'm not going to wear it for the entire thing, I just want to do a shout out to Mardi Gras. So, before we get started, please remember to like and subscribe, and please comment on my videos. Tell me what you like, what you don't like. I now have a Twitter and Instagram page, so yeah, so you can check those out. Those are E.D. Lewis, both of them. And, of course, I have a Facebook page for my book, The Cursed Bridge House, and that's just called The Cursed Bridge House. So, check that out. All the information should be down below in the description of this video. So, welcome back to E.D. Lewis Reviews, and I'm E.D. Lewis. So, this time around, on this gloomy Mardi Gras, it's kind of gloomy outside, I'm doing Interview with the Vampire. This is probably one of my favorite books of all time. Not my favorite book of all time, though, because my favorite book of all time is actually a young adult novel. But this is probably one of my second, or, well, no, maybe even my third, because my other favorite is another young adult novel. But this is probably one of the best vampire novels that I've ever read, and is one of the most beautifully written. Written by Anne Rice, who is my second favorite Gothic writer. Actually, she may actually be my first favorite Gothic writer. I oftentimes say Marilyn Ross is, but he may not be. He may be number 2. So, anyway, Interview with the Vampire was originally published in 1976. It started out as a short story that was written in the late 1960s and was picked up and expanded into a novel by Anne Rice. I guess we'll just get started. I'm just kind of excited to do Interview with the Vampire. I've been planning this for a few weeks now, and I'm sorry if this keeps glaring. I don't know what to do about that right now. If there's any suggestions, please let me know. So anyway, the book tells of a vampire named Louis de Pontdulac, who tells his life story to a young reporter who is unnamed in this book. He's called The Boy. But in a later book in the series, which, by the way, this part of a series is the first installment of the Vampire Chronicles, which I don't know if it says that anywhere on the book. It does not. This is not my original copy. My original copy, unfortunately, got destroyed several years ago, so I had to get a replacement. And yeah, you can tell I haven't read this replacement because, well, it's not well used, because I will use my books. So anyway. The boy is called Daniel in the novel Queen of the Damned, which is the third book in the series. I'm going to go ahead and put this down for now. He's telling his story in, almost said St. Louis, that's the wrong place, San Francisco. But not the entire story, but a lot of the story takes place in New Orleans. Thus, I thought it'd be appropriate to do Interview with the Vampire because of Mardi Gras. So, Louis is the owner of a plantation in New Orleans during the late 1700s, it's 1791 to be exact, who is suffering greatly from the mysterious death of his very pious brother, who was going off to be a priest and then suddenly died mysteriously under circumstances that are not really explainable. And so he begins to long for death. And yes, my phone just went off. That was unfortunate. I should have turned the sound off. Until he is attacked by a vampire named Lestat de Lioncourt. I'm not sure how to pronounce it in French, but it's spelled Lioncourt. So, and I've heard people say Lestat and Lestat, and I've heard Anne Rice refer to him as Lestat. Even in the motion picture, they call him Lestat, so I don't know what is supposed to be the true pronunciation. We should probably go by Anne Rice's pronunciation. So if I accidentally call him Lestat instead of Lestat, I apologize. It's just what comes naturally to me. Who offers him the dark gift, which begins his sad and distraught life as a vampire. The two live as companions/lovers for many years. Lestat feeds off the slaves, while Louis prefers to feed off of animals. And I think you should read the book to find out why that is. His reasoning is kind of a struggle for him, and it follows him pretty much throughout the book in one way or another. It's kind of that shadow on his back, I guess you'd say. Or did I just make that phrase up? Hey, I made up a new phrase, possibly, so yay. It's hard to summarize this book because there's so much that happens, and yeah, I'm going to leave that part out. So you'll have to read the book to find out what happens there. But eventually, Louis' slaves discover the truth about him and Lestat, and this prompts Louis to burn down his plantation, much to Lestat's dismay, force them to move into the city of New Orleans, where they take up residence in a house. Louis succumbs to temptation one night and feeds upon a 5-year-old girl who's dying from the plague. Lestat fears that Louis will leave him, so he turns to the young girl, and they name her Claudia, raising her as their daughter. And I think that's really as much as I should tell you plot-wise, because there's a lot more that happens, and the book goes much further than that. But if you've seen the movie, you know what happens, but I would highly recommend you still reading the book. The movie is fantastic. It's so good. That'd be... it's one of my top vampire films, and I don't think I have a favorite vampire film, so it's up there in my favorites, so to say. So, this book has many great characters. Lestat, who's kind of the villain. Louis, who I'm not a big fan of Louis, oftentimes, but he's still a great character. There's Claudia, the girl vampire. There's a vampire named Armand, who's a 400-year-old vampire in Paris. And there's much more to his story that gets told in later books. Especially the second book, The Vampire Lestat. And his own book, the book based around him called The Vampire Armand. So there's that, and well, that's pretty much all I should probably tell you, except for this book is extremely beautiful. This is not one of my favorite covers, but it's very gothic. The older cover I had archways that extended. There was lots of purples and dark colors, and there was a shadowy figure creeping about. Yeah, it's one of my favorite covers. I'm very picky when it comes to covers. I love cover art. So. But anyway, that's Interview with the Vampire, a very short summary / preview. Like I said, I don't want to do too many spoilers because I want you to read the book, and if you haven't read the book and you've seen the movie, you still should read it. It's a must for any vampire or gothic fiction lover, so please check it out. Interview with the Vampire by Anne Rice, the first in the Vampire Chronicles. I do hope eventually to do some more Anne Rice books. Currently, I am finishing up reading one right now, but I can't do that one until I do a review for another book. I'm currently reading the second Ramses book, and I really don't think I should do a review on it until I do a review of the first one. So, but that's another great book. That's for another time. And before we go, I wanted to plug my book real quick, The Curse of Ridge House, a gothic novel by E.D. Lewis. So check that out. If you've been watching my videos, you will definitely know what it's about a young girl named Brianna Gale, who travels to a small town called Writer's Peak to become secretary to a wealthy widow. She falls in love with the mysterious and gorgeous Quentin Peters, but when tragedy strikes in her new surroundings, she finds herself in mortal danger, and she must discover what is the mysterious curse of Ridge House. So, that's the book. Please check it out. You can get this at Amazon, in both Kindle and paperback forms. And I will have that information down below, as well as my author page. So check that out. Check out my Instagram. Check out my Twitter. And of course, I have the Facebook page for the book called The Curse of Ridge House. So, and also, I guess I should start plugging these books that I am reviewing. You can get this book at almost any bookstore, and probably Amazon. So you can get it at Books A Million, Barnes & Noble. I'm sure you can even get some books. You can find this book probably at a lot of thrift stores, probably even some antique or flea market shops. So check this book out. Check my book out. And have a great Mardi Gras. So, laissez, bon temps, rouler. Let the good times roll. See you next time.